This is the story of Mara Vale, and once you hear it, you might want to lower the volume. Mara Vale had the kind of voice people trusted. Smooth, slightly husky, always in control. That voice built her podcast, Final Word, into a monster. Millions tuned in every week to hear her dissect murders in intimate, almost loving detail. She liked being the last voice a victim ever had. One rainy Thursday, a plain brown package arrived at her studio with no return address. Inside were 4 old cassette tapes labeled Elena Voss, Interview 1 to 4. Mara smiled. Cold cases were her favorite. She slid the first tape into her old player and heard her own voice interviewing Elena Voss. "Hello, Elena. I'm Mara Vale with Final Word. Can you tell our listeners what happened that night?" The voice was identical. Same slight rasp when she got excited. Same way of pausing before the hard questions. But the date on the tape was from 2019, 2 years before Mara had even started the podcast. Mara froze. She had never met Elena Voss. She spent the next 3 days in her studio, listening to every tape, every police recording, every 911 call from the Elena Voss murder case. Every single voice on them was hers. The killer's taunting letter to the police, her voice. The neighbor who saw someone leaving the house, her voice. Elena's own desperate final voicemail, her voice. That night, Mara did what any true crime creator would do. She turned on her mic. Episode 47, The Echo Chamber, the unsolved murder of Elena Voss, and the voice that refuses to stay dead. She uploaded it at 2:17 a.m. By morning, it had 500,000 plays. The next week, things got worse. Her producer, Jack, called her in a panic. "Mara, what the hell did you say in the bonus clip? I never recorded that." Mara didn't remember any bonus clip. When she checked the episode, there was an extra 47-second segment at the end she hadn't added. In it, her voice whispered, "She's still here with me, listening, always listening." Mara deleted the episode, but it was too late. The clip had already spread. Her smart speaker started glitching. In the middle of the night, it would play random clips of her own voice saying things she never recorded. "Please, I don't want to die. He's coming back. I can feel him breathing on my neck." She stopped sleeping with the lights off. Then came the bruises, small at first, on her wrists, around her throat, exactly where the autopsy photos showed Elena had been grabbed. Mara started wearing long sleeves on camera. Her viewers thought it was a new aesthetic. One evening, while editing, she found a new file on her computer titled confession_Mara_Vale.mp3. She shouldn't have played it. Her own voice filled the room, calm and professional, describing how she had murdered Elena Voss, how she had enjoyed it, how she had pressed the knife in slowly so she could hear every sound. The timestamp on the file was dated next week. Mara smashed the speaker. She drove to the small coastal town where Elena had died. The old detective who handled the case was still alive, barely. When he opened the door and saw Mara, his face went white. "You," he breathed. "We already interviewed you." He played the confession tape again. Same words, same voice, same Mara. "I didn't do this," she said, voice shaking for the first time in years. The detective looked at her with something like pity. "Miss Vale, you confessed 3 years ago, then you disappeared. We thought you were dead." That was when Mara understood. She wasn't investigating a murder. She was the echo. The real Mara Vale had been killed 3 years ago. The thing living in her skin, speaking into microphones, building an audience, was something left behind, a voice that refused to die, a voice that was slowly replacing reality itself. Every person who listened to Final Word became a little more hollow, a little more open. The killer, whoever he was, had been obsessed with Mara's voice. He had done something to it, trapped it, fed it, and now the echo was growing stronger, spreading through headphones, car speakers, AirPods, smart TVs. It wanted to be heard. Mara stopped uploading. She recorded one final episode. No editing, no music, just her, sitting in her dark studio, voice raw. If you're listening to this, delete every episode of Final Word, uninstall it, burn the archives. Don't let my voice into your head anymore. I'm not real. I'm not the victim. I'm not the killer. I'm the infection. She laughed bitterly. And the worst part? I still sound so fucking soothing, don't I? She hit publish. The episode broke every record her podcast had ever set. Millions listened, millions shared, millions fell in love with that calm, trustworthy voice one last time. In her studio, Mara sat back in her chair. She felt lighter, like something was finally leaving her. She looked at the reflection in the dark glass of the recording booth. Her reflection didn't move, it just smiled. Mara tried to scream, but no sound came out. The reflection stood up, walked to the microphone, and spoke in that perfect, velvety voice.
Thank you for listening to Final Word. This was our final episode, but don't worry, I'll be with you soon, very soon.